John Berman is here to break down the key races. It is still undecided at this hour who is going to control Congress. I'm starting to get deja vu standing at this wall with you.
I know, and I apologize. Caitlin walks over and I said, don't bother me. I'm doing math. The math is hard for me to do all this. So hang on. Let me just tell you where we are right now. We are watching.
It's looking better for Democrats in the Senate right now.
It might be. We are watching, of course, Nevada and Arizona. If either party manages to win both of these states, then we don't even need to wait until the runoff in Georgia to figure out who wins control of Congress. Let's see where we are in Nevada. Okay, so now Adam Laxalt, the Republican, leads the incumbent Democrat, Catherine Cortez Masto, but just by 9,000 votes. Let me see if I can tell you where this was yesterday when we were talking most of the day. Most of the day yesterday, Laxalt was ahead by 15,000, maybe more. Now the lead has shrunk to about 9,000. Why? There were more votes counted in Washoe County yesterday, about 18,000, and Catherine Cortez Masto netted about 60% of that. And there were more votes counted in Clark, reported yesterday, 12,000 votes counted in Clark last night. Catherine Cortez Masto won 61% of that. I give you these percentages because the math here is interesting. Okay, let's go to a blank blackboard here. We think that there are roughly, let me get this out. We think there are roughly 95,000 votes left to count in the state of Nevada. In the whole state, 95,000 votes. If she can win 60% of that, which she was yesterday in Washoe and Clark County, she would net 19,000 votes. 19,000 votes, which, even with my math skills, I know
would change that.
Is more than the 9,000 votes. Now, I don't know that this will happen. I just want to give you directionally what could happen if the margins stay the same. We know there's 50,000 votes left to count in Clark County. What we don't know is if she will be able to maintain that type of margin there. In Arizona, a little bit of a different story. Mark Kelly, the Democrat, has expanded his lead as more vote counting has been recorded, typically in Maricopa County, especially in Maricopa County, and down here in Pima County. He had been at about 85,000 yesterday. Now he's at 115,000. About 540,000 votes left to count. That's a lot. It's a lot of runway.
Yeah.
Now, if that vote skews Republican and Blake Masters were to win 60% of that, I'm not going to write this down for you, he could get close to overtaking Mark Kelly. But one thing I want to point out that people haven't focused on, there are about 3 counties that are almost 100% in. They're all Republican counties. Gila County right here, just west of Phoenix, you can see 95%, and it may actually be a little more. Mark Kelly is outperforming Joe Biden, what Joe Biden did there, by 7.5 points.
And obviously Biden won Arizona.
Barely, but he won it. You go just west to Graham County, Mark Kelly is outperforming Joe Biden by 7 points here. In one more county, West Greenlee, where most of the vote is in. It's tiny, but he's outperforming what Joe Biden did there right now by 17 points. So, yes,
remarkable.
We have to wait for all this to come in. There is enough room for Blake Masters, if he does really well in the rest of this vote, to overtake Mark Kelly. But in the places where we've seen almost everything, Mark Kelly is doing more than what he needs to do to win.
So it seems like that is somewhere where Democrats are waking up this morning. That's good news. 540,000 votes left to count in Arizona. How many left in Nevada again?
95,000.
And how long is that going to take? Because my dad called me yesterday after the show, and he was like, why is this taking so long? But I said, it's normal. This happened 2 years ago. It's not anything suspicious. But he wanted to know how long it's going to take.
Different reasons in different states. In Nevada, the law says that any ballot postmarked by Election Day can be received until actually tomorrow, and they will be counted. Okay. So they're just waiting for all those to come in as they continue to process. Arizona, it just takes some time. They get the votes in. They match the signatures with the things on file. They were slow 2 years ago. They're slow this time. But Arizona, no one had a problem with Arizona doing this until about 2 years ago when people called results into question. This is just how Arizona's done it for some time.
Right, so it's normal.
And it's going to take a while. It could take another week to find out in Arizona.
Okay, well, we'll order you some breakfast.
Yeah,
what do you want?
Appreciate it.
John Berman, thank you.
Berman's good at math, and he's Magic Berman at the Magic Wall.
At this time, I have to prepare the math. I can't read my handwriting. There's a lot of challenges here.
We are grateful for
You
you.
want some cheese to go with that wine?
Oh, come on. Math was not part of the job when we signed up to do journalism, okay?
Be nice to Berman. We desperately need him at that wall. Okay, guys, thank you. We'll get to you soon. Well, let's talk about Georgia. With the Georgia runoff campaign between Raphael Warnock and Herschel Walker underway, so much money is pouring into this state. In the past 24 hours, both parties, outside groups announced investments in this race that could determine the balance of power in the Senate. Staggering amounts of money were spent in other battleground states as well. Some Republicans are now questioning, though, whether it was enough. Let's go to Rahel Solomon. She's been following the money. She joins us now. You know, when you have some of these states with these really tight margins, there's a lot of Monday morning quarterbacking saying, oh, if we just poured a little more into those states.
Yeah, lots of money and lots of money to follow, Poppy. So let's first look at the big picture. So let's start with across the top 5 Senate races for this election cycle. Both parties, campaigns and outside groups included, combined to spend over $1 billion. Let that sink in. At the top of the list there, my home state of Pennsylvania, $264 million. So Democrat John Fetterman here defeating Republican Mehmet Oz. Republicans outspending Democrats by $22 million in Pennsylvania. Let's go north to New Hampshire, where Democrat Maggie Hassan defeated Don Bolduc. Dems outspending Republicans by $11 million here. And then, of course, to the all-important state of Georgia, where, as John mentioned, the race between Warnock and Walker is heading now to a runoff, while Democrats spent $20 million more than Republicans here. Poppy?
Can you talk about what the races that are still undecided at this hour and what we know about the money in those?
Okay, so let's start with Arizona, where, as John pointed out, Democrat Senate Mark Kelly, senator, still maintaining his edge over Blake Masters there, the Republican candidate. Democrats here outspent Republicans by $46 million. In Nevada, where Republican Adam Laxalt is leading Democrat Catherine Cortez Masto, well, Democrats outspent Republicans here by $17 million. And let's look at the spending advantage. It's the same information, but on the map, sort of a different perspective. You can see the breakdown of those states I mentioned, plus Ohio. So the Democrats outspending Republicans in states like Arizona, Georgia, Nevada, New Hampshire. Republicans outspending Democrats in states like Ohio and Pennsylvania. But Poppy, for folks at home who perhaps have ad campaign fatigue, this is why. It was a lot of money, a lot of ads. And of course, for our friends in Georgia, they have a few more weeks of it.
Yeah, a few more weeks and a whole lot of ads to come. Thank you for following the money, Rahel.
CNN senior data reporter Harry Inton is at the battleground desk for us this morning. So how is this going to go down? What's going to go down on December 6th here, Harry?
I feel like it's deja vu all over again, right? As Yogi Berra once said. Look, Georgia runoff rules are pretty simple. Obviously, we had the election on just on Tuesday. Then we're going to have a runoff between the top 2 vote-getters, Herschel Walker and Raphael Warnock. Why? Because no candidate reached a majority, 50+1 of the vote in the November election. The new election, the runoff occurs on December 6th. Runoffs have generally been a system in Georgia that was developed in the 1960s. It was actually developed by white lawmakers who wanted to assure that the white majority population would be ultimately able to decide who their elected officials would be, because they were afraid that black voters could win in a plurality, could elect their candidates in plurality back in the 60s because of perhaps a divided field among white voters. Obviously, today, that's not necessarily the case, as we have 2 black candidates, but it is somewhat of a relic from a former time, Don.
Not the first time that Georgia Senate race was decided in a runoff.
No, it's not the first time. You know, if you go back since 1992, for example, we've had a bunch of runoffs statewide. Republicans have actually tended to do better on the whole. They've won they've done better in the runoff 7 out of 10 times from round 1 to the runoff. Of course, the 2021 runoffs were an exception to that, where both the Democrats actually did better. Why was 2021 different than those other years? I think the turnout gives you a pretty good indication, right? Take a look at this. This is Senate runoff turnout as a percentage of the general election turnout. Normally, runoff turnout trails by a significant margin what was happening in those general elections. But in the 2021 Senate runoffs, it basically matched. It was only slightly lower, Don. Now, why was it slightly lower? It was because of black turnout. Blacks have traditionally in Georgia turned out in significantly lower numbers in the runoffs than they did in the general election. But what occurred in 2021 was the exact opposite. The vote in majority black counties was actually larger compared to white counties when you looked at the runoff turnout compared to the general election. Obviously, we don't know if that's going to happen this time, but obviously that's something that Democrats would love to see. Now, I think there's a big question ultimately, though. What will Georgia actually be determining? Will it be determining control of the United States Senate, or could it be the case that both Arizona and Nevada go to one party, in which case it wouldn't be occurring? Now, if that is in fact the case, let's just say that Georgia is not determining control of the United States Senate. I think that's welcome news for Democrats, because in our exit poll we asked, what's the importance of party control to your vote in the for your vote for the United States Senate? If it was not important, if you didn't care who controlled the United States Senate, look at that. Raphael Warnock had a large advantage over Herschel Walker, which I think gets back to the whole idea of candidate equality, right? A lot of Republicans voted for Herschel Walker, even if they didn't like him, because they wanted to assure Republicans get control. If control of the Senate isn't on the line, maybe some of those Republicans sit out, Don.